Uh, Pilots I can send 24 pilots, that's 2 full squads. Can send 36, that's 3 full squads. Cargo, I don't know. I should probably place it all there. Does it fit? It does. Nice, nice. How much space you got left? A little still. That's cool. Okay. Sorry. That gives me some room for... I'm not gonna transfer because I have no angers yet. But we can place defensive fighters in there. Let's also enter that station and see how's it performing. What's the matter? Not enough generals. We'll need more generals. Is that all? Generals? Really? Okay, people. 75 gunners. No miners, none needed. Engineers and mechanics, they have more than enough, mostly because, well, I gave them professionals level 3, so obviously they don't need these many. They have twice as many as they need on both accounts, but they do need more generals. Seems like I didn't send anyone. So what else? Let me just see before I change. So we need more generals. And I guess that's it. On the other end, on my ship, let me see. Cargo, crew. How many crew do I have at this point? 1,100. Well, that's exactly correct. So let's see the aluminum mine. Transfer crew. So generals. What's the matter with the generals? I have 16 generals. Why didn't they transfer? Okay, a couple of generals. They need 3, I think. So let's give them 1 more. And we could probably use some repairs to the station, I mean. But let's see. If I repair it, it will be a ton of resources, I bet. Yeah, a little bit. I don't even have enough titanium to repair it, so... And that said... Now, I still need to keep going on the decoration. Right now doesn't look like anything. It would have to work a little more on the visuals. But the main box is done. Then it needs a little more light and shadow. And color decoration, a color pattern. Can also use something like where is it? So let's see. Okay, trinium is a little low. Let's get some xenium assembly. Let's place it right there. regular hull. No, actually, tritium crew quarters. Okay. Okay. Getting there. This station is producing aluminum. It's an aluminum mine. And yeah, you're right. Stations need a lot of maintenance, a lot of micromanaging. You need to make sure they are fed, they are kept fed so they keep producing. But some stations don't need to be fed, like this one. An aluminum mine just produces, doesn't need for you to do anything. The only background on this is that you need to be careful where you build it, because since you don't need to feed it, you may end up forgetting getting there, and you need to make sure it's able to defend by itself. Where I'm building it, it will be a very hard task to survive by itself, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm building in an empty sector exactly to ensure that it doesn't have to survive by itself. So when I leave the sector, and because it is an empty sector and nobody is supposed to come here, when I leave the sector, actions should stop and nobody should invade. When I'm back here, then invasions can happen. I'm here to help them out and to defend them. So that's the idea. Of course, if I build it on an habited sector, chances are other players will go there and my station will be attacked much more often. But even for those stations that require some feeding, aluminum is just an aluminum mine, so it just produces aluminum, doesn't need to be given anything. But some more complex structures do need for you to provide them with the goods they need to produce the goods they produce. So let's say, for example, a wire factory. It's probably gonna need steel and copper. So ideally, you should build, if you're going to build a wire factory, you should build a mine for steel. No, you should build a copper mine nearby and an iron mine nearby and a refinery to make steel nearby. Now, the refinery is also going to need power cells. So you're gonna need to make a solar power plant nearby. So to make wires and not having to babysit the station all the time, you'll have to build at least 5 or 6 stations altogether and create a production chain that keeps itself fed. Now, it's not easy. It takes up a lot of time, a lot of resources, and you need to build it just right, in the right place, and with the right size of everything, inventories included. The stations need to be able to defend themselves. They should have hangars so that they could have cargo carriers to take things from station to station inside the same sector. And ultimately, if you build it on an habited sector, NPC factions will also trade with your stations. If you build it like I do in an empty sector, that's more unlikely to happen. Occasionally some trader will come, but not very likely. But you're more protected. You're more defended against attacks. So there's a lot of choices that can influence what kind of gameplay you're going to have when you start building stations. Yeah, basically, if you're gonna build it a single station, or if you're just wanting to build a couple of stations, then you should take care to make sure that that station is not going to need to be fed all the time. You can also, and that's what I usually do when I'm building a station that requires other ingredients to work, is I build a big enough cargo bay so that I can place a lot of resources, a lot of raw resources into it, so that I don't have to go every single day to refill the stock. So I place enough goods so that they can keep producing for a week or so, and that's manageable. You don't really need to babysit your station so much. It's mostly the defensive side that's more complicated. Defending the station and making sure that it's capable to hold its own on harder territories, that's where the real problem is. Where I am, for example, glued to the core, it's going to be very complicated for the station to defend itself, especially without fighters. But again, because it's an empty sector, as soon as I log out, there shouldn't be any invasions unless other people go there specifically for that. The other advantage of building a station outside of NPC factions territory is that basically you'll begin controlling your own territory. Like these sectors, these green sectors over here, they are mine. They are my influence. They belong to me, to the Rusty Corporation. Rusty Trading Corporation, so to speak. Sorry. Okay. Now, I've been taking my time with the decoration of this station. And you're right, Alan Fire, it's not easy to... Well, a station, it's got some particularities to it, building stations. And when you first start, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, because it's not equal for everyone. It also depends a lot on your play style. It's completely different the way you should build a station for the person who likes to explore and go out on combat and just wants to make 1 or 2 stations for fun or to produce a few goods to make money, and that person who doesn't mind to stay parked at the same sector for hours just building stuff and taking care of their stations. Now, both are viable. For example, if you build a station on an empty sector like I have, when I log out, the sector will unload, and because it's an empty sector, no other players will have any reason to come over here. So in theory, I should not get invaded. In theory, no, I won't get invaded unless someone else comes here and reloads the sector. When I'm online, well, when I'm online, for now, I'll be usually at this sector to develop it. When it's developed enough and the stations are strong enough to defend by themselves, well, then I can go out exploring. Even if I'm online, if I'm away from the sector and nobody's there, the sector freezes, so there won't be any danger for the station itself. So when is it dangerous for the station? Well, basically when you build it in inhabited sectors. It's tempting because of the gates and because NPCs will trade with your station through gates, but and if you build on an empty sector like I have, NPCs will have a very hard time to come here and deal with my stations. But I don't care. I don't want NPCs to deal with my stations because I'm willing to build stations to feed myself. So I'm building an aluminium mine, and an aluminium mine doesn't need anything to produce. It just mines and produces aluminium. However, if I wanted to make, like I said a little while ago, a wire factory, for example, the wire factory would need to be fed with steel and copper and power cells. So it needs energy, it needs steel, and it needs copper to produce wire. So you have two options. Either you yourself go around buying power cells and steel and copper and keeping your station fed, and if that's your choice, then you should build a gigantic cargo bay on your station so that you don't have to do that all the time. If you build a big enough cargo bay, you can just buy a ton of the stuff you need to produce, place it in the cargo bay, and you don't have to worry about going back to your station all the while to give it back more goods. So if that's your choice, just build a big enough cargo bay to hold the goods it needs for several days. On the other end, you can also instead make a production chain. So if your wire factory needs copper, steel, and power cells, you can make a power plant, a solar power plant, and it will produce power cells. You can make an iron mine, and you can make a copper mine, and you can make a refinery. The refinery will also need power cells, but you already made a power cell for the wire factory, so Now your power cell will be feeding two factories. The wire factory you initially wanted to design, and the refinery that you need to produce the steel to feed your wire factory. The refinery will also need copper, but you'll also have built a copper mine. So to build a wire factory, you just had to build another 4 stations to keep it sustainable without much of your own interference. So, and that's the only way you can avoid having to micromanage and keep buying resources and carrying resources back and forth for your stations the whole time, is by building production chains or limiting your production and your buildings to low-end products like aluminum, which doesn't require other goods, or copper, or there are a few low-end resources that don't require your stations to be fed. Of course, high-end resources will need your station to have the ingredients to make those things, so to speak. And for that, like I said, there's only 2 options. Either you do the micromanaging or you create production chains. Yeah, you're right, it is very intensive. Especially during the first times. Because until you have all the stations you need built to keep it fed, you're gonna have a hard time and spend a lot of time around it. Even after everything is built, you still need to be careful on keeping an eye on prices and price fluctuations, and making sure every so often that everything is balanced, that every station has goods, because when you're making a production chain, if a single item is missing, the whole production chain stops. So yeah, you're right, it's very intensive. But some people like it. Well, that's my idea. This time around, I'm considering making a trader faction to serve the server, so to speak. No pun intended. And to be available for everyone. So trading goods, like for example, right now near the core, there isn't a single station with resources to sell. Not a single sector. All the resource depots are completely depleted, and most of the high-end products that are used to make turrets are also depleted. So creating a production chain for the goods necessary to make turrets might always be a good investment. Even if, of course, like you say, it's very intensive. Yeah, you're right. Of course it gets easier, especially that's why factions were such a great fit for this game. I mean, there are things. I speak for myself. I mean, when I started playing on Russies, I think I followed the same path as any player does. So you start building your ship, you start growing your ship. At some point, you're building massive structures, massive ships, and you want to do something else. So you find that you can also make stations, and you start fiddling with that, trying to see what works and what not, and how to do it. And I started making stations, and the main problem is that, yeah, I was able to build a few stations for myself and a few production chains for myself, but it's extremely time consuming and extremely demanding in terms of time and investment from yourself, especially if you're alone. I was able to do it, but it wasn't a time where I was playing Avorion probably 7 or 8 hours a day for weeks on end. So at that point it was possible, but with factions I think it's a lot easier to do, and it made them viable for any player. I mean, you may not have the time to play Avorion every day for several hours, but if you have a faction where other players are there and also know what the goal is, each can contribute a little when they log on. You don't have to be tied to that place and that construction for hours and days on end trying to finish it. You can just contribute. Some people will like to build more than others, and they can spend more time building if they like. So it opens a lot of possibilities, factions, in this game, I think. And yeah, on Rusty server, with all the mods and all the upgrades it brings to the table, it's even better because we have mods that enable you to build almost any kind of station that exists in the game. And that's also a plus. Now, I placed a cargo bay, and I don't think I need any more. These two are made of cargo bays, and I have over... I think I have the max. I think the max is 25,000 storage. I think it's the max for level 1 facility. You can upgrade a facility, and at that point it will probably take more and produce faster. But considering I hit the 25,000 mark, I probably made my cargo bay a little too big. I probably don't need it that big. Cargo hold takes 36,000, but the max capacity is 25,000, so I have basically 10,000 too much. Now, let's see. Okay. It reduced the cargo hold a little bit. Let's just think for a little bit. I could change this from cargo bay to something else, but what do I need? Probably nothing. More shield, perhaps. Shield and energy storage. also needed. Well, I'm gonna leave it as cargo bay. May not be needed now, but might come handy later. Let's place some container right there. First, let's cover this. Now, the container. Okay. Okay. I guess I'm gonna have to do something slightly different. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let me just get... The reason I'm doing this is a little stupid, but I'll keep doing it just the same. I like to be stupid. Call me stupid if you want. But I'm making several layers of armor and changing the materials, because if I don't change the materials, when I merge the blocks, these layers will become one layer, one thicker layer. Now, everyone will tell you, including me, that this doesn't make sense. There's no need to do this. A 3-wide armor is as effective or more effective than 3 1-wide armors. But while that's true, you also need to account for the existence of railguns. And railguns will go in across several blocks, so to deliver damage. So that's why I'm doing this. I believe some people made several experiments around this and said it wasn't effective, but I really don't care. I'm gonna keep doing it because I think at the very least it improves the armor than if it had only one layer, one tick. And at the very least it will surprise enemies, because they will destroy the first layer of armor, and below there will be another layer of armor instead of the systems they are expecting. So yeah, the reduction in HP, it's neglectable what I lose in making 3 blocks 1 thick instead of making 1 block 3 thick. What I lose in HP is residual, almost nothing. So I'm gonna keep doing it. Okay. And now let's get some slope. Let's turn on the match shape. Okay. Okay. Now let's get let's see, like this. Sure. And again, but slightly smaller. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can do it without much of a hassle. A slope. Let's turn the match block and the match shape. Okay. Okay. And finally, Okay, and let's get, I don't know which one will be better. Let's try with this one. And this one. Nope, not good. Okay. Yeah, I don't invest much in detail, just slightly. Depends. Sometimes I feel like building like now and I just get lost with it. But yeah, I usually don't waste that much time with building with stations either. I have a few models that I usually use when building stations. The only reason I didn't use these models, this one I like, for example, the only reason I didn't build these models, any of these models, is because I don't have enough resources to build the stations that these designs require. 189 titanium, for example, I just don't have it. All of them require titanium. Then there are these ones. This is a fuel deposit. The idea was to be a refinery, but it never got finished. But I think it will be a refinery this time. But yeah, more or less simplistic. Let's place this. Okay. Okay. Slightly less. Right there. Okay. And storable energy is fine, required energy is fine, generator energy is fine. We have fighters, production capacity. We don't have weapons yet. Let's see what else is around here. Oh, great. Well, solar panels are also an interesting item to use on stations, for example, to produce energy. That way you won't require such a big generator. Server backup. Let's hope it didn't dupe the ship. Nope. Okay. So this is the station. Let's see. Where was I? Where was I? We just built that rooftop. Okay. 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 Almost there. Okay. Let's deal with those guys before they get too close. And speaking of which, I don't need this. Yeah, lost one module. If not, I will. Yeah. Okay. Too much crew, is that it? Yeah, too much crew. 10 people too much, I guess. Finally! Finally, I have my ship back at its regular stats. Weeha! Nice, nice, nice. It's just a shame that I can't harvest and salvage all these wrecks. But oh well. I'm sure the game will update soon enough. And we'll be able to use fighters again. Wee resources. What else? 9. There's some in there too. Floating around. Okay. Okay. Let's see the mine. So I think the mine is basically ready. Maybe it can... Let's see. Let's move into the mine. Okay, and now that we are inside the mine, let's see. Required energy, life support, integrity, shields, anger, and turrets. Okay, I haven't placed integrity fields yet, but I will. I was forgetting about that. And turrets are just as important as life support. Mostly because without turrets we won't live long. So I guess that's it. Fighters. We can make a couple of or 3 squads, or even 4, 2 combat or 3 combat and one salvage to go after the wrecks. But or 2 combat and 1 salvage, I don't know. Still, I'm not gonna do it right away because fighters are unusable at this point. This is all the goods that it's got in storage. this is the crew, and it's only taking 4 turrets. And that's what I don't understand. Shouldn't it be possible for the station to take more than just 4 turrets? Because if it can only take 4 turrets, then it's gonna need for sure fighters to protect it. Okay, so I covered this. Now it's time to uncover. Okay. 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 And let me take a look. Okay, I guess we can do that. It will be crazy, but it might just work. Okay. 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 And okay. So there's a lot of stuff you can do to improve the visuals. Something simple like what I just did to provide shadows, for example. Does the Rusty server get reset with the update? Well, It depends. Usually it doesn't. But if the update is big enough, yeah, sometimes it does. Ideally, we tend to like to let the server run for as long as possible, because this is a building game, so people will invest a long time of hours building stuff. If we just erase it every single time Avorion releases an update, we'll be erasing the server basically every week. And for a game of this type, it's not good. People require a lot longer to build truly big empires like they want. That said, every so often an update comes that is so big or that it causes such fundamental changes in the way things work that we have no choice but to restart and reset everything. Well, to be honest, I'm not really happy with this color palette I placed on the mine. I really don't like black on factories and stations. I like it on ships, but not on factory and stations. About my ship, yeah, my ship is not yet 15 modules. My ship at this point is 9 modules. It's not that big in terms of size, to be honest. But it can easily get upgraded, so... in this day and age, it's not that hard to resize the entire ship, so... but if I'm not mistaken, it's at 9 slots at this point. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 slots on its regular shape. Now, there is a missile launcher missing. And I have no idea. Oh, right, I remember. What is this? Why is this Xanian crew quarters? This shouldn't be red. This should be black. It shouldn't even be like that. Well, this ship is very strange at this point. I'm gonna change it back to the original and fix the damn hole it's got in the front right now. Right here, because I saved the wrong model at the wrong time. And because I disabled autosave, I actually thought I had already re-enabled it, but it seems like I haven't. Autosave in building mode. Okay. Resume. Now, saved ships. We have to wait a little. What's up? Low morale. Oh yeah, it's still overpopulated. With 10 people over what it should. Okay, not like these, not these ones. Show me. Is it you? Could it be you? Nope. It's not you. Or is it? Maybe it is. Let's see. Nope, it's not you. It's not you. It's you. It's you. Because of the weapon holders. Do you have weapon holders at this point? No. So let's not use the weapon holders. 10, 5, 6, 3. Okay. Wow. All the weapons were removed, I guess. Yeah. Well, at least it got repaired. The hole got repaired in the front right there, and everything else too. I just don't think you need this integrity field generator right there, so I'm gonna take it out. And yeah, that's much better. That's the ship I designed. No idea what happened with that other ship. Okay, this is better. Now we still need to place the weapons all over again, especially if we don't want to risk getting attacked. Let's move some crew into the station. We still are overpopulated. Sergeants, let's send 15 sergeants. No, actually, let's send 5 sergeants. Let's send 20 mechanics. Okay. That should have fixed it. Let's see. Yeah, all fixed up. We still have 16 empty crew beds. Haha. Yeah, I don't like to scale the ship either because, well, it's not that the stats get changed. The stats don't get changed. What you notice is that your ship loses maneuverability, and it's like if the thrusters and the gyro arrays would lose effectiveness. They don't lose effectiveness. Well, they do, but it's not because you resize the ship. That happens because it grows exponentially. So while with a very small ship size, let's say a ship with 3 modules might need 1 block of gyro array for 2 blocks, or actually might need 1 block of gyro array for 10 blocks of whatever in the ship. If you have a 15 model ship, you'll need 1 block of gyro arrays for every 2 block of anything else on the ship. So it grows exponentially, or in reverse, gyro arrays lose effectiveness exponentially as the volume grows. So the bigger it is, the less effective gyro arrays are proportionally. Gyro arrays, and it's the same for thrusters and engines, so they lose effectiveness exponentially as your ship grows. It's not a direct calculation, so, and that is to prevent people from having dreadnought-sized ships moving as nimble as a small drone, which was what was happening before. So that no longer happens, and it's good. You can still make a ship the size of a dreadnought be very agile, but to do so, you'll probably need 2 blocks of gyro arrays for every single block of anything else on the ship. So your ship would be completely among us disproportionate in terms of the amount of gyro arrays it would require. Now, my station has went back to full force. All is completely repaired. Engineers did their job. And my ship is also fully repaired, which is also good. I still need to go back to the station because I forgot something. So first of all, let's see. This color can get station. This is an aluminum mine. You're gonna be some crazy color. Let's see, like slate gray. Okay, that might work. Yeah, that's even better. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. You 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 and you. And now you you. Ooh, no, not that. What am I doing? You and you. And you and you and you. And you and you and you and you. Okay. And the people inside, this should probably be also on a different color. It's here, but it's almost invisible. That means I need to change this color to something neutral. Like this. And I don't like this color for the station either. Maybe No, I don't like this color either. Well, yeah. Strafing, you have nothing that tells you it's true. And yeah, you're right. It's needed. Okay. Let's correct the color of the asteroid itself. No color in there, and in here. Why is a dock in here? Okay. Okay. What else? Okay. Now, yeah, we'll still have to place a lot more light details, but for now, it's workable. Let's just place some integrity field generator. Let's see how that goes. Okay, not bad. We'll probably have to cover it again with regular armor. Okay. Needs the blue. Okay. There. And see on in there and in there. Okay. What else? This can stay as it is. Integrity field. Let's place some more integrity field right here. Okay. Okay. I guess it's good for now. It will grow more later. For now, it's fine. It works for what is intended. So let's go back to our little ship, which is again maneuvering properly now that the hole that removed the inertia dampener has been fixed. That's why the ship was not stopping at all, because inside here, as you can see below these protections, these decoration protections, there is some inertia dampeners, which you can see light up when the ship starts to stop. And while there are more, it's not the only one, there are plenty, as you can see. This block over here, it's massive. It goes from this side to here and a bit here to the back, so it's probably the biggest block on its own that the ship has. And while it doesn't account for half, it's less than half the stoppage power, well, even if it loses just 1/3 of the stoppage power, it's enough for the ship to become all crazy in terms of maneuverability for me. So now the ship is a lot more maneuverable again, thank God. It was really getting tiresome. Now, you guys, what do you got? Orders? Nothing. What else? Transfer crew, cargo, trade goods. It costs 0 to me. I can take 7,032. They already produce 10,000. They have 25,000. I can upgrade the price. But why would I upgrade the price? Okay. Upgraded the price once, and that's good enough. For now, we are good. Now, of course, I made an aluminum mine mostly because I had to build something. What I really wanted was somewhere to store my stuff. Now I have a station to do it, and I was able to remove the temporary cargo base I had placed on the ship's wings. But the reason why I chose the aluminum mine is because aluminum is used on several turrets for building, so there's at least one ingredient already being produced in here. So now all we need is the other 40 or 50. Haha. Okay. So speaking of ships, let's see. If I was to build this thing, I don't have Avorion for it. Yeah, and that's my main problem. Most of my ships have, at one point or another, been upgraded to Avorion level. So, at the very least, they have an Avorion hyperspace core to be able to jump through rifts, like this one. I love this ship. I could easily build it. I have the resources for it, but it takes 69k Avorion for the hyperspace core. And I don't think there's a way to remove the Avorion or modify it for something else before actually applying the plan. So, not much I can do. Same for all of these ones. I'm not gonna build a Star Destroyer, of course. Even more because it's not mine, the design. The design was made by Berkis32. You can find him on Discord too. On the Discord channel too, the Discord server for Rusties. He's one of the guys. And he gave me this design. But it's his design, of course. These ones all use Avorion. This one doesn't, but it's too small. It's a 500,000 ship. No point in building it right now. There's this one, but takes over 1,000,000 Avorion, which is a battleship, a carrier battleship. This one doesn't take Avorion, but is very small, not even 1,000,000 credits. This one also takes Avorion. It's the same as this one, with a little more developed, so to speak. The difference isn't much, but it's there. About 300,000 credits more. This one. This one is the same as this. Just a few changes that I already started to make. This one is where I'm making the most changes on the design. This is the original design. This one is the original design. I modify the engines to be actually round instead of this. So I applied these round engines. And then I also stretched the ship to see how it would look, because Berkey told me that these are the official measurements for the Star Destroyers, and well, it seems a little short, doesn't it? But he's right. It's the official proportions for the Star Destroyer. You went to look for it on purpose to do it. So these are the official size, the official proportions for a Star Destroyer. I was under the impression that it would be longer, so I made the experiment to stretch it a little. And it doesn't look bad, but these are the official proportions, so we will work with the official proportions. So I changed the engines, modify the engines, the engine covers, and I started working on modifying the visuals, the side visuals. So he had it built like this, which looks great at far, but when you get up close, you start noticing that it's just several steps of crew quarter blocks and nothing else. So I dismantled those and decided to make those details a little more detailed. So there we are, making them a little more detailed. And I think it will work great, to be honest. but it will be a lot of work. It's still a work in progress. And Burke is gonna kill me for saying this, because I've been saying it's a work in progress almost, I don't know, maybe... I'm even ashamed to say it. He gave me this ship to work on it maybe 10 months ago, or 9 months ago, and I still haven't finished what I said I would. I know he doesn't care, but yeah, I'd really love to finish it and give it back to him as a gift, just like he gave me the original. But still a lot of work to do. After finishing these details on the sides, I still have to move to the top side, to these sides right here, which also look great in the distance, but when you get up close, well, it's not bad, but it could use a little more detail, and done maybe a little differently from what it is at this point. But yeah, all my ships, they all take Avorion one way or another. The only one that doesn't is the one I'm using now, because I haven't got to Avorion yet. All others should use it, I think. Avorion, stations don't. Avorion. I think I do have a version of this ship that doesn't use Avorion, but it's an early version that is made of trinium and xanium, if I'm not mistaken. And it's smaller in scale. I mean, this is the current scale, 12.5 million, and yeah, this is before the upgrade. So this one is completely made of trinium and xanium. Nothing better than that. And the top took an improvement. You can see the change. It grew in size. The whole ship grew, but it's the same ship. So in here it was 5 million. In here it's 12, and this was made in a time where there were no tools to modify the entire ship. So I literally, and I'm not exaggerating, I had this ship and I had to do an horizontal cut right here, and I did it on stream. Actually, I think I have it recorded. I made a cut right here, copied the entire head, the entire upper part, and saved it. The head, so to speak. And then I added more crew quarters and systems in the middle to increase the height. So the ship jumped to this. And then of course I had to increase the size of the engines to account for the bigger weight. So they also grew. And to be able to keep providing for the rotation speed it had, I had no choice but to increase the size of the lower thrusters, these thrusters down here. So, pow! There we go, bigger thrusters. And the ship got pretty effective just the same, which is brilliant. And it's a work I'm proud of because it grew across maybe 3 or 4 months playing Rusty server. It started very small and it went on growing and growing and growing. So I still have the images of the ship when it was just starting. This is the most complete version I have of it. And I love it. It's highly maneuverable despite the size. It takes 15 models. and it's just brilliant. Um, I don't even have the version of this ship when it was still small, but I have it all on stream. I saved most of its construction on stream, so yeah, I can just go creative and replace the block. That's true. I could do that. But this ship is not much bigger than the one I'm using. Well, it's a little bigger. This one takes 9. That one I think it takes... I was saying it takes 15, but I don't think so. I think it takes 10 modules. The one I'm using is 10 million. That one is 12 million. I think this ship takes 10 modules or 11 modules. These ones are a little too big. I don't have the resources for them. 1.4 Xenian, much less the Avorion for it. But this one I could probably change easily. And I know, yeah, there it is. I know I have a version of this ship that doesn't use Avorion yet, like this one. So this is also a buildable ship. And I think I'm gonna build this ship to defend the sector. Just not right away, because I don't have the crew to place it on. Well, maybe I do have the crew. I'm carrying excess crew on my ship, so maybe I do. But not today. Today has been a long day. I've done a very long stream. Spent hours improving relations with the Ethio Syndicate to ensure I would be surrounded by friendly factions. These guys were abhorrent by default. They really hated my guts, but now I have a great place for trading because I can do amazing trades on these little grounds right here close to the core. I still have to go all the way back to see the Exodus operation. And to try and find the smuggler hideout to start the smuggler quest. Other than that, we should also go to the outskirts and buy some neonite and titanium to build more stations. And after that, and after we start a few stations around here and grow this sector a little more and expand it a little more to the size with more stations in other sectors probably, then I'll start looking for the wormhole to get into the core. That said, the game at this point is working in those terms, unlike it was earlier. It's got almost the same requirements as vanilla. To get into the core, you need to have all the keys, all the alien keys to open the wormhole, and then you need to take those artifacts equipped on your ship into one of the asteroids with the same name of the module, and that will allow you to open the gate and go in to the core. Well, I'm saying like vanilla, this has nothing to do with vanilla. Vanilla is completely different, but yeah, it's the way we found to prevent what was happening before. Earlier, on the early stages of Rusty server, because of the mods, the only way we had to get people to be able to get into the core was to make sure they were able to enter, even if they didn't had all the modules, all the keys, and that was because one of the models, one of the keys was impossible to get. I can't remember if it was a bug of the game or it was a problem with the mod pack, but that forces to make it possible to enter the core without having all the keys. But now it's no longer the case. Now you do need to have all the keys to enter the core. So there's still that. I still need to go looking for the remaining keys. Up to this point, I only have a few. At this point, I only have module the alien key 6 and the alien key, and that's it. I only have the alien key 6. And 3, yeah, I was forgetting about that. I have 6 and 3 from the AI and from Swox, I think. What is that? That's a trader ship, but what is it doing in my sector? The Corporation of Wolford. Okay. You can stay. I'll let you. Okay, so I'm going to log out. And to do so, I'm gonna move my ship to a different sector so that it doesn't stay everything in the same place. Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, it is because the Core Guardian is a brilliant fight, and it's what everybody wants to do, it's get to the Guardian. But then again, if it's just so easy as to want to get there and get there, well, you just simply bypass the entirety of the game, because that's the ultimate goal of the game, is to get to the Guardian. Now, I like the mechanics of the game, and the way they make it hard to get into the core. No idea how it's being handled in vanilla at this point, if it's still the same thing, that there is only a single wormhole to get into the core, as it was earlier on. But because it's like looking for a needle in a haystack to find that wormhole. Yeah, so in that sense it's kind of a content blocker. But on the other hand, most of the fun on this game is exactly the exploration, looking for what you want to do and looking for the stuff you need. Either it be for trading, either it be looking for the turret factory you need to build the turrets you want, trying to find a sector to call home. Most of the game is exploration. So I think it makes sense to do some exploration to get all the keys to be able to get into the core. That said, yeah, there are a lot of keys, and some of them are not exactly easy to get. Some of them have very time-demanding tasks associated with them. The Exodus mission is a pain. The smuggler quest is also a pain. The mad laboratories, well, it's tied to the Exodus, I think, but it's well, it's a pain because it's the Exodus. We can call it just the Exodus mission. It's a pain. So yeah, some of those missions are a pain to complete in terms of time. In terms of time, time demands they have. But yeah, well. And I don't know, I can't remember honestly. I don't know which was the key that we couldn't get. But I know at some point there was one of the keys was not possible to get. Without cheating. So without modding the game like we did to be able to get into the core. I think it's probably fixed now, but to be honest, I don't think I ever got into the core with the vanilla experience, with the vanilla version of the game. But then again, I barely played the vanilla at, at any time. When I first bought the game, I must have played a few hours on vanilla single player to check it out and see how it was. And pretty soon I started playing on multiplayer servers, found Rusty server, and never got out. So, can't really say. There are several wormholes spread around the core now. Is that it? Well, it's better than having just a single one. Earlier on there was a single one, and then there was that problem on multiplayer servers that when someone finds that single wormhole, everyone finds it because that person will simply tell his friends will eventually tell other people, and soon enough, a few days later, the whole server knows where is the wormhole to get into the core. And that happened a few times, so one of the solutions would be to close a wormhole as soon as someone went through it and spawn a new one. That would be a solution. But yeah, if there are several, probably set up the same way as it is on Rusty server now. Probably, or better yet, probably Rusty server is just following the vanilla build on that aspect. You need the keys, the alien keys, to activate wormholes. If that's the case, then we're following vanilla closer. But I don't dislike it, to be honest. I don't mind the exploration. I often had that discussion with Devious here on Rusty server. To me, well, of course, when people play this game, they want, especially on multiplayer servers, they want to have their buildings and their constructions and their ships to last for as long as possible, to be able to actually dominate the galaxy and with their friends and conquer large swaths of the galaxy and do battles. For that, the server has to keep running on the same universe for quite some time, for weeks or months on end. And nothing against it, I understand that completely. But one of the things that I often talked with other people and Devious and Dirty was that I love starting on a new server. To me, the most fun I have with Avorion is when I'm first starting on a fresh galaxy, and the progress and the path and the journey, all the journey up until you have the resources and the money and the modules and the alien keys to build the big ass ship and get to the center of the core. Well, when you are at that point, you basically have finished the game. You can go to visit the Guardian if you want to, but you can do whatever. But the journey to get to that size, to get that big, is what's interesting to me. I love that feeling of being just a small ship and having to mine and gather resources and do trading to get money and grow the ship and build your ship. I love that crap. So to me personally, I wouldn't mind if the server got restarted every few months. But that's not what we are going for with Rusty Server. With Rusty Server, we are trying to keep it going for as long as we possibly can. Like I said, eventually updates and the game build will force us to wipe and restart. The very nature of the multiplayer server means that as time goes by, sectors get corrupted and data gets corrupted, so eventually a wipe will be needed. But with so many people playing online and with that progression almost over, I mean, for me it's not, because I started just a few weeks ago on this last wipe, but right now the server is already running probably for, I don't know, maybe 2 months on a row, and that means people have all went through the journey of growing, had all that fun, got to its biggest size, and now they have nothing to do. So, well, they have things to do, but what they have to do is end game fun, is fighting each other in the core just for fun, just for kicks, or building massive, gigantic structures in the core to defend against Zotan and other players. But there's a limit to how big you can grow, and finding people to fight on for kicks, it's not that easy, because, well, most people don't want to risk their ships, risk losing their ships, even if on a friendly fight, because they will still lose the resources and the ship if they lose. And those who don't mind losing because they have so much are not that many. So yeah, after you get to a certain point, you start lacking things to do, other than building more stations and stuff. So, to me, it's a journey. It's the whole journey to get there that I love. So I don't really mind if I have to look around for a little while longer to find the wormholes, or if I need to backtrack a little to find the resources that I need. I don't really like to find what I have been finding in the last 2 or 3 days, which is to get to a point and realize that the core and its outskirts all around are completely depleted of any kind of resource at all. I don't like to see that, because that means the economy has been disrupted and it's not working completely balanced. And it also means that players are hoarding as much material, as much high-end materials as they can, as much high-end resources as they can. Xanian, Orgonite, Avorion, Cranium, and that means they are probably overbuilding inside the core, because with this much resources, I can only imagine the humongous stations and defensive structures they built to defend their tiny alliances inside the core. So I'm not in a hurry. I like to take my time. If I rush it, I'll be gigantic and humongous in no time, like others already are, and I'll be in the same spot with looking around and saying, well, what do I do next? Another station? Or do I go try to find someone to shoot at? Meh, let's just play something else. And I've been there several times, And like I said, my fun for me is on the journey to get there. I don't like to rush it because after that, well, there'll be nothing to do other than starting all over again. And I'm limited to starting all over again when everybody is willing to start all over again. I can't force people to start all over again. And to be honest, well, I understand that completely. I think it's perfectly natural that people want to hold on to their buildings and their constructions that they invested so much time on. Even if you don't lose anything on this game, Avorion is very well designed in that regard. Every building, every ship you make, every single modification you make to your design gets saved. So even if there's a wipe and everything gets cleaned and you have to start over, all the designs of all the crap you made on the server are saved in your files. So you just need to get the resources and rebuild your things if you really want to. For me, I rather just build new stuff instead of rebuilding the old stuff again. Anyway, guys, this was a very interesting day today. Managed to finally choose a territory, a sector, and start building. Made my first station. Got friendly with an abhorrent guild, an abhorrent NPC alliance. And right now it's time to rest a little. I'll be back tomorrow to stream a little more. I hope you enjoyed it. Have fun playing Avorion. Remember to post in the forums your designs. There are a few good topics about it. Or even on the Discord channel, on our channel, on Rusty servers, post your designs in there. I'd like to see them for sure. You know me, I'm nuts for designs. That's why I lose most of my time playing Avorion, is designing stuff and caring for decoration. Okay guys, thanks for watching, see you all later.